Are we ready?
15 seconds. Mayor, we are ready.
Thank you very much. As you can tell, I'm doing this meeting virtually, which is a blessing that we're able to do that in today's technology. At the beginning of our meeting, I always like to start with maybe the untold stories of Maplewood and talk to our residents and our businesses about some of the things that they may not realize is going on in Maplewood. And since this is February is American Heart Month, we also had Valentine's Day. And so sticking with that heart theme, our staff has been very, very busy making sure that many people in our community are not forgotten during Valentine's Day. And our communications department put together a great video. And I wanted to open with that, with this heart theme that Maplewood has a heart, and that we focus on how we can help our residents, how we can make sure that they know that they're cared about. So I know that Joe Sheeran was going to queue up that wonderful video. Council members, you've probably seen this. It's been all over social media, but it is a great video, and it's short, but it really goes to the point. Maplewood has heart.
You're a real catch.
You are sweeter than candy.
You are perfect.
We wrote over 1,000 Valentine cards,
Well, these are for all of your residents? All right. And thanks for all you do for us.
delivering to 13 different residents.
Happy Valentine's. We love you.
Out here on this cold day, bringing some warmth to some seniors in our community.
Very clever writings from officers and firefighters.
Roses are red, violets are blue. When you need us the most, we are here for you. And you guys are. Oh.
Happy Valentine's Day!
Thanks for sharing that. I think it really shows who we are in Maplewood, and I wanted to share that with everyone at the start of the meeting. So with that, we are called to order the Monday, February 24th, 2025 Maplewood City Council meeting. I am going to ask everyone to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance with me, and I'm going to lead you virtually. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. City Clerk Sint, would you please do the roll call for us?
Councilmember Lee. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Here.
Councilmember Cave.
Here.
Councilmember Juniman.
Here.
Mayor Abrams.
I'm here as well virtually. Thank you. Council members, the first item is to approve our agenda. Is there a motion?
I move approval.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave, the motion to approve our agenda for tonight. Is there any further discussion?
Councilmember Lee is in the queue.
Okay, Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to add 3 items to the council presentation. Our first item is IV Wellness and Beauty Spa. The second one is Pan Asia Mall. And the last one is a public safety, just public safety.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to add?
Councilmember Juniman is in the queue.
Okay, Councilmember Juniman.
Spring cleanup, believe it or not.
Oh, well, today sure felt like it would be a great day for spring cleanup, that's for sure. Okay, anyone else? Then hearing none, all those in favor signify their approval of our agenda by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We go on to the February 10th, 2025 City Council Workshop Meeting Minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve the February 10th, 2025 City Council Workshop Meeting Minutes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries.
Mayor, may I interrupt for just a moment?
Yes.
Because you are virtual, we will have to proceed with the roll
Oh,
call
thank you.
for each piece, so I apologize for this. Will feel a lot, but it will be clearer for the record if we do it that way.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So let's do the, you can report, City Clerk Sint, do you want to ask for council votes on our workshop meeting minutes?
Councilmember Cave?
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman?
Aye.
Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio?
Aye.
Mayor Abrams?
I vote aye as well. Thank you. Moving on to our city council minutes. Is there a motion?
I move approval.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Lee, the motion to approve the February 10th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. City Clerk Sint, would you do the roll call vote for us, please?
Councilmember Cave?
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman?
Aye.
Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio?
Aye.
Mayor Abrams?
I vote aye as well. Thank you. Mr. Sable, this is your opportunity for our council calendar update.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Just a few updates for you on the council calendar. So at our meeting on March 10th, we are going to have the second of our conversations around economic development strategy. That meeting will begin at 5 p.m. Also on March 10th, while it's not on the document itself, I do want to share that it is we're coming up on my 1-year anniversary, and so my annual performance review will also be included as an item, both as a regular council item, but also as a closed session. And I will be working with the evaluation committee on what that survey would look like, so I can get good feedback. Is the Breakfast of Champions, and so looking forward to an opportunity to talk about the past year as city manager, and so that will also be on the March 10th meeting. On March 24th, we will have the results of the Maplewood Police Staffing Study. Dr. Matt Bostrom has been working with you all and with the Public Safety Director Beardeman on what that looks like. That will also be a 2-hour presentation on March 24th, and so look forward to those going forward. In terms of the comments regarding workshops, council meetings, we did have an earlier conversation around the community festival, and so that is now off the list, but we still have 2 remainings. One is a transit discussion. There is a meeting being scheduled by Ramsey County and Metropolitan Transit on what the future of transit looks like in Maplewood. So nothing to report yet, but that meeting is coming. And then we are scheduling the charitable gambling policy conversation, tentatively looking for May timeframe. And I just want to say this is an opportunity for community members that are in the audience or at home. If there is somebody in the community that has done some remarkable work and you want to recognize them and give them an opportunity to say thanks, the Joe Bergeron Community Service Award nominations close March 31st. It's an opportunity to acknowledge and recommend and say thanks to the great volunteers who make this community so special. So please tell your friends and family to include lots of applications.
Thank you very much. Moving on to council presentations. Councilmember Lee, you had 3 items.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item I wanted just to give a quick, this past weekend, February, busy few weeks, lots of new businesses coming into Maplewood. I wasn't able to make it to as much as I wanted to, but one that I was able to attend on the 15th of February is IV Wellness and Beauty Spa. If you guys have been in Maplewood Mall recently, it has changed quite a bit. There's a new vibe and new energy in Maplewood Mall, so I encourage all of you to get into the mall itself to experience it for yourself. But IV Wellness and Beauty Spa was open. They are a IV therapy and beauty spa. That's you can look good in Maplewood, feel good, and eat good in Maplewood now. So do visit them. Their owners are from Wisconsin, Zhuo Yang and Nambi Yang. So do visit them. They're over by where the old Bath and Body Works used to be. So moving on to the second item here, Pan Asia Mall. The Sears building, as you all know, the Sears is no longer in business. Tua Zhang, who is the owner of Mongtown Marketplace, purchased the property recently, and they rebranded to Pan Asia Mall. And so I did a tour with some community members and some investors this past weekend too. Lots of great opportunities coming to that building there. So they're looking to get that kicking here soon. But if you guys have an opportunity, council members and community members, they are open, and I think they're running tours pretty regularly on Saturdays. So if you want to see their vision and see what's going to come there, definitely check them out. So. And the third item I have here is I wanted to bring it up to our council. I know there's been Maplewood is a very unique city, and our city continues to change, and we are a city who welcome all. One of our strategic priority is that community, and building a community who is inclusive of all. And I think with a lot of uncertainty around immigration in the state of our country, I've had residents who reached out to me who are afraid to even step out of their house. And I think what's important is our police department, they are very dedicated to the safety of our constituents. And I think I was curious to see if our council would entertain putting together a summary of our policy, our public safety policy, to let our constituents know that when our public safety officers are out there are no biases at all. They're really there to make people, to protect our community, to protect the people of our city. Everyone should feel safe to call our public safety department. And I'm just checking to see if our council would be interested in putting a statement out. Last week, I met with our MAC community member. There was a summary of our public safety department in terms of around immigration statuses and stuff like that. And our MAC committee was also interested in the statement. What I have was more of a high-level summary, and I think if we can put together a summary that's community-focused, I think it'll be very important to have our community see that our council and our city stands with public safety, and that we are for people, and that you will not be questioned, and you should feel safe calling your public safety department. But wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you. This would be a good time maybe to discuss this. I know Mr. Sable and I attended a meeting with the 18 Clan Council about this very particular issue. And it is certainly an area that is very sensitive today. I think that my recommendation would be, our public safety department has already put some things out there. Mm-hmm. And maybe what we could do is take a look at that, because we want to make sure that we are clear on what our policies are. And I know that Councilmember Lee, you've seen what public safety has put out, so has Mr. Sable. In terms of our council, from our, it's easy because I think we all understand as council members that our public safety policy hasn't changed at all. But making sure that our community knows what that is, what we do and how we view this is something that we could include on our city website. I think that would be absolutely critical. Mr. Sable, do you want to jump in and suggest how we might accomplish that? Getting something on our website that outlines the position of what our public safety department has done in the past and the way that they're handling this?
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor and council members, Councilmember Lee, for bringing this forward. I think there's you're right, the city of Maplewood is a special community, particularly in the East Metro. We're one of the most racially diverse communities in the East Metro, and I think that I heard those concerns directly from the participants of the session, and so if there's anything that we can do to quell fears, I think we should do that. Public Safety Director Beardeman sort of put together, I think, a really helpful listing of what are the things that we do and don't do, and what the lens is from a public safety standpoint. I think my initial thought is to potentially put some combination of that really clear factual data in there, but also then a community statement, and I can route it to the council for final edits, and just to make sure that it sort of meets the expectations that you had. But I can turn that around really quickly, and we can get that up on the website yet this week.
I think that's a great idea. Council members, what do you think?
I have Councilmember Cave in the queue.
Councilmember Cave.
I think that's a great idea also, especially getting it on the website. And since we have something already, so we don't have to recreate something, I
Sure.
think that's really positive. And possibly get it in the newsletter too.
I think that's a wonderful idea. Councilmember Juniman, your thoughts?
What she said.
Okay, easy. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, and Councilmember Lee? I think it was your idea, so sure.
Thank you, Council.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Councilmember Juniman, I can't believe it. Yes, it's spring cleanup time. We need to talk about that.
Well, thank goodness it isn't 50 below zero today, or this would really sound
Yeah.
ridiculous. Today is a little more believable. Yes, our annual spring cleanup is on the calendar. It is a little later than usual. It is on May 3rd this year at Aldrich Arena. There's one slight change. We have nothing to do with this. The county is no longer doing satellite hazardous waste pickup because they have the new building over on Larpenter. So they won't be there doing hazardous waste pickup.
Okay,
But other than that, a list of vendors will come out later in a newsletter. But just start looking at all this stuff that's built up over the winter and figure out where you want to take it that day. It's May 3rd.
thank you very much. May 3rd, we'll look forward to that and seeing all the council members out there. Okay, moving on our agenda, administrative, let's see.
Rice Larpenter.
Next, we have the Rice Larpenter Alliance presentation. And let's see, Danette Parr, do you want to tee this up for us? I know Kim O'Brien is there. Hi, Kim.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Yeah, I'd be happy to tee it up. I think we'll call for the overhead. I will tell you that in the years that I have been involved in the recent years with the Rice Larpenter Alliance, Kim O'Brien, the executive director, I remember the way she described it to me in one of our first meetings, and she talked about how it was a spot in our area where there were 3 cities that came together, and you've probably all heard it described this way: Roseville, Maplewood, St. Paul, and obviously Ramsey County is a part of that, where all of our backs faced each other. And in 2016, when the conversation started in relation to creating the RLA, everyone sort of turned around, and now we have this new community that exists as a result of that. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Kim.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Danette, and thank you, Mayor Abrams and City Council Maplewood. I'm Kim O'Brien. I work at the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce, and then for the last 6 years, I've been serving as the executive director of the Rice and Larpenter Alliance. And I believe I've met with and talked to all of you related to the Alliance in the past, so I'm really honored to come before you today and give you an update and answer any questions, and also to thank you for Maplewood's investment in this neighborhood, for the faith you have in this partnership, and for all that hours, especially Mayor Abrams and Danette, and really so many of your team members and public safety as well have put in to 3 cities, 1 neighborhood. So with that, I will just go through this short presentation and then stand for any questions. So the Rice and Larpenter neighborhood, as Danette mentioned, includes St. Paul, Roseville, and Maplewood. And Maplewood, as you can see, is on the northeast quadrant of the neighborhood. So if Rice Street and Larpenter Avenue are bisecting, Maplewood owns that quadrant. The neighborhood is growing, so the population has ballooned. Not a lot of new houses have been added, so that means we have bigger and bigger families living in the same units in the area. The population is very diverse, so our communities are all diverse here, and this particular neighborhood is even more diverse culturally, racially, ethnically, in all ways, and we really celebrate that in Rice and Larpenter. It's a global community, so we have more non-English speaking households than your average neighborhood in the county. Many families from all over the world, immigrant and refugee families, have made Rice and Larpenter their home. And very young. Our census data shows that the neighborhood has way more kids than the rest of the county on average. So this is the Rice and Larpenter neighborhood. the timeline, as Danette mentioned before, so it was back in 2015, 2016, then Mayor Slawick from Maplewood and Mayor Rowe and then Council Member Brenmoen from St. Paul met to discuss this neighborhood because, as many of you remember, the neighborhood was the site of a lot of kind of tragic incidents, violent incidents, pedestrian crashes. The Maplewood City Council responded, I think, really effectively to some gun violence in the neighborhood. And everyone just said, enough. And yes, what would happen if instead of facing in at our own communities, we turned and faced in at this important community and worked together? So instead of having kind of being on the edge of everybody's area, we shared the area and had 3 times as many supporters. So I really give those leaders a lot of credit for founding this idea. You all pooled resources and hired a design firm to pull together a community process and create a community-supported vision for the area. And that vision was very far-reaching and included everything from, street improvements to the fact that the neighborhood didn't have a name before. People call, and Maplewood, I think some people in that slice of Maplewood didn't realize they were in Maplewood, frankly. People in Roseville called it Southeast Roseville, and it didn't really necessarily tie in with the rest of the North End and St. Paul either. So the recommendations everywhere from redevelopment to creating a neighborhood brand and identity to supporting the local community and improving walkability and community health all lives in that document. In 2018, each of the city partners adopted that vision plan into your area plans, so becoming kind of the official, we all support this and share this shared vision for the neighborhood. In 2019, realizing that still a vision on a document is great, but it doesn't happen unless you implement it, and there was really no one entity to implement it, the cities once again pooled resources and issued an RFP to lead the implementation stage of the vision plan. We launched our board applications for community-supported advisory board, I think in February of 2020. So if you remember, that was right before the pandemic. We had a really big party in Maplewood at Groceries and Nepali Kitchen, where was the former Stargate nightclub and now is a full-service Nepali grocery store and delicious restaurant. And we celebrated together, and there was an outpouring of support from community members, from businesses, from the city partners, and we launched a community-based advisory board. But the pandemic didn't deter us because even though we were stuck at home, the board continued to meet virtually. Mayor Abrams in particular hooked us up with Costco Maplewood, who donated truckloads of toilet paper, and if you remember at the time, it was a very high demand commodity. And we packed hundreds of stay-at-home kits for our local community members with toilet paper and donated groceries and school supplies and just a note of support and care that, this community, this Rice and Larpenteur Alliance was there for them. And that kicked us off. Since then, I think we continue to refine ourselves. We've made a lot of physical improvements, a lot of social improvements, a lot of process improvements. We launched an actual executive committee. We have not only have all 3 cities remain committed to the Rice and Larpenteur Alliance board, but now we have community residents who are part of that board and part of that leadership team, and local businesses. So it's truly an amazing alliance. And this year, we're going to refine as well, and we're kicking that off with a big party on Tuesday, and you're all invited. I'll get to that later. The highlights of that 2018 vision plan I just want to mention is that the vision for the Rice and Larpenteur area is that it will be a safe, engaging, and inviting neighborhood center that includes common spaces, high-quality pedestrian environment, and robust reinvestment for the diverse people of the surrounding communities to live, conduct business, and play together. I say that one a lot. I should have it memorized. We adopted some core values early on, which is that diversity is our strength and representation in leadership was important. Non-displacement, so no improvements to the community should be made if they're not for the community that's there. and a strengths-based approach, which is a little different, which is that what we pay attention to is what grows, and that Rice and Larpenteur has a lot of wonderful amenities, people, and strengths, and if we just build on those, we're going to realize our vision much faster. I've listed some goals of the vision plan, but I mentioned them before. We're talking about walkability, safety, identity, support, housing, commercial redevelopment, connection to the lake, and more. This is a part where I say thank you to those community leaders who have stepped up. I am so proud of the fact that not only have all of our original supporters remain part of the alliance, but we continue to attract new supporters every year. So this is a fun picture we had, again, at that Nepali kitchen. And these were, that picture there are some of our executive committee members. We have one executive committee member representing an elected official from each of the 3 cities, also from Ramsey County, and we also ensure to have local residents and local businesses reflected in our executive committee. I'm really proud to say that we'll be launching a brand new 2-year board of directors, and we have our slate mostly filled out. And I'm really grateful to Mayor Abrams for her continued support of the Rice and Larpenteur Alliance and continued willingness to serve on our executive committee. And I want to thank Danette Parr, too, in particular, for her continued support on the advisory board, helping to make sure that our work in the redevelopment space aligns with the city's goals as well. And a shout out to Officer Gabriel, Director Beardeman. I just want you to know he is at all the meetings and is all the events and always wants to liaise with the community. There's just so many great city staff people from the city of Maplewood who care about this work, and I just want to thank them. Sean Fedmal, too, in case she's listening. She's wonderful. Next slide are our community partners. So we know that while the cities support our work, you support our work financially. That really helps us keep operations going. We know that we can't rely on government funding forever if we want to continue to support this community. Danette and Mayor Abrams know that I want there to be a Rice and Larpenteur Alliance, 20 years from now, 50 years from now. I don't want the community to quit until that vision is realized, but in order to do that, we need to gain support, right? So I'm happy to say that these companies with the logos listed have all opted in to be annual community partners, meaning they provide an annual contribution and sponsorship that's significant enough to help us make sure we can keep our events going, our communications going. We also have great support, like I said, from all 3 cities, from my employer, the Chamber of Commerce, and from the St. Paul, Minnesota Foundation last year as well. We continue to grow in our capacity to do grant writing, although I will tell you that most nonprofits will tell you grants are a difficult landscape right now. So your support as a city to keep this going is vitally important, but we continue to turn over every rock and stone and refine our fundraising efforts. This is a little sneak preview of our annual report for 2024 that will be released at our annual community gathering on Tuesday, May 4th at Washington Technology Magnet School. The annual report each year shows all of our fiscal year's supporters and highlights of events, so it's fun to release that. A couple things I just wanted to highlight from this past year is that we had more attendance at our community events than ever. They continue to build excitement in our community. So we are estimating probably at least 1,200 community members came out to our events this year, which is great. We added a movie in the park. We do our own spring cleanup, so I'm kind of glad that yours isn't going to conflict with ours this year. We do a lot of public safety information. In fact, once you guys have your statement on how the police will handle public safety in light of the concerns of our immigrant community, I would love to share that on your behalf and help get the word out because to our residents who probably, like you mentioned, Councilmember Lee, are very scared right now. So thank you for that. Some other highlights is that we made some headway in putting in our neighborhood signs. We're very excited that the county will be rebuilding a section of Rice Street in the neighborhood in the spring. We hope that they continue planning to rebuild the full Rice Street up through the suburban area of Rice and Larpenteur as well. We are excited that Met Transit has considered Rice Street to be the next bus rapid transit planned route, or I think it's the G line. And we have a lot of development interest in the area as well. So these are just some visual slides to highlight some of our community events and other activities we do. So every spring we do a community in bloom event in Roseville at the Lake McCarran's County Park. This is a really fun way to build social emotional connection to this beautiful park. Get people out and about and working together, celebrate the lake. We partner with the Capital Region Watershed District. This park, we've also been part of adding a lot of public art to this park, so it has the most public art of any park in the county system in partnership with the Rice and Larpenteur Alliance. So that will be coming up in May. Our summer block party is on the St. Paul side each summer. This is probably our biggest event attendance-wise. We have a rip-roaring band. I think most of the council has been to the event. It's a lot of fun. It's also always around Mayor Abrams' birthday, and we usually sing her happy birthday, I'm pretty sure. But this event is a great way to bring together community and celebrate in a place. And if you recall, the Lamplighter Lounge used to be in this parking lot, and the parking lot used to be in terrible disrepair. And not only was it a blight, it was also very dangerous. And it's much improved. We kept shining the light on what was good, and it's working. And then one of our favorite events, especially here in Maplewood, is our winter warm-up event. This is on the Maplewood corner, so if you can picture the space between Burger King and Caribou. Every year we have to get these llamas to come out because they are a crowd favorite. So we have bonfires, llamas, we have donated warm treats and coffee and cocoa. We have choirs, and we have all our vendors and local businesses coming out to show, like, even in the dead of cold of winter, Rice and Larpenteur community is vibrant and together. I want to highlight a couple of our neighborhood signage and public art activations. So last year, we built our kind of main sign at the park. You could see it sort of says Rice and Larpenteur. It's quite large. That was part one of a several phase plan. And then up in the top corners on Rice Street, this is on the Roseville side, you'll have a gateway entrance as you go southbound on Rice Street to welcome you to the neighborhood. And then also at Lake McCarran's, we have those metal banners there. So this is meant to kind of continue to reinforce that brand on the street of you're part of Rice and Larpenteur, you're part of something special, and you're welcome here, and help people orient in the community. We've also done many public art projects like the Mosaic at Lake McCarran's and like the Utility Box Wrap project where we had local artists come in and design Lake McCarran's inspired art and put them throughout the corridor. So we do planting, we do greening. This is the kind of things that we do that make a huge impact in the community. A couple of other things I just wanted to highlight as we are in the process with a technical assistance grant through the federal EPA. We have had the opportunity to hire Stantec to do a redevelopment update. So that vision plan, believe it or not, I feel like we just got started. It's already 5-6 years old, and it needs to be refreshed in order to be relevant. So working with Danette, Director Parr, I should call her, and others from Maplewood, or from the other cities and Ramsey County to think through what is the next iteration of the Rice and Larpenteur Alliance vision when it comes to redevelopment, and even better, what is the Rice and Larpenteur Alliance's role in helping realize some of these redevelopments? We don't own property, we're not real estate agents, but so how do we highlight and encourage people to come and invest in the ways that the community would like to see? So we're working on that, and I'm really excited about our progress. Another thing I'd like to highlight is our grants for businesses. So since 2023, we've been able to provide business improvement grants to, I think, 17 local businesses, and they make improvements on their facade, in their kitchens, and these small businesses really rely on these grants to help them through tough times and also help them make improvements that just improve the overall vitality of the neighborhood and improve the tax base. So that's just one of the ways we reach out and support our local business community. And of course, I mentioned the Rice Street reconstruction and the bus rapid transit line. And I'm really proud because the board just adopted a new operations manual that will help us lead our board of directors and the way we work into the next generation. I'm almost done. I do want to invite you all to join us at our annual community gathering. I think this was Danette's first event, and Mayor Abrams always comes, although I know she's recovering right now, so I'm hoping she can make it. But we have a really great time celebrating the year before us, recommitting to the vision plan. We have a silent auction with local businesses, donations. We share a meal together, and we do community champion awards just to recognize the volunteers and people in our community who are making this all great. So you just RSVP at that. There's an Eventbrite, and there's also a link from our website. I just once again want to thank you for your investment. I feel like I went over time, but I would stand for any questions that you might have about the Rice and Larpenteur Alliance and our work.
Thank you, Kim, for that report. You did a wonderful job. I have to say that the pictures I did notice from the warm-up, the winter warm-up, were not from this year, from 2024. I was out there with Kim, and it was freezing rain, and the pavement was getting slippery. But Kim was a real trooper, and so was everyone else that was out there. It still was a really fun time, but that was a day where the weather, we didn't bend to the weather, but we sure had to be a little bit flexible with it. So
We sure did.
I did notice that was that was the previous year where it was a gorgeous day.
I mean, the
and there was
pictures
no
looked a
freezing
lot
rain.
better with those blue skies, Mary.
They did. That was a good choice. But we were out there in the freezing rain, and it was cold. So thank you for that. Thank you for that great presentation. And I have to say that the Rice Larpenteur Alliance would not be doing the work that it's doing without Kim O'Brien at the helm of this. She keeps everyone on track and keeps things moving along. And it is absolutely critical to have someone in that role. So thank you, Kim, and thank you for that wonderful report.
Thank you so much, Mayor Abrams. Appreciate
Any
it.
questions, anyone?
Mayor, you have Councilmember Cave and Councilmember Lee in the queue.
Councilmember Cave.
Hi, just a quick comment, Kim. Thank you again, great report, and for pulling 3 cities together and to continually doing great work there is just phenomenal. And I look forward to seeing what the new, the redevelopment plans and all that are for the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cave. Yes.
Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for being here, Kim. I'm a proud product of St. Paul Public School, and I graduated from Arlington. So I spent a lot of time in that area, McCarran area, when I was in high school. And it is not what it used to be, and I'm very happy to see the progress that you guys have all made in that area. So thank you for your continuous work in improving that community.
Oh, thank you, Councilmember Lee. I think Arlington High School is now Washington Technology.
Correct. Yeah.
It is.
It
is.
That
They even
was the
changed the
days.
name.
I
Yeah.
had to rack my brain there. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kim. Okay, moving on our agenda, we have the 2024 Annual Public Safety Report. Chief Beardeman, this is your topic tonight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Unfortunately, I don't have any Christmas llamas to talk about, so I'm at a slight disadvantage from Kim's presentation, but we'll see what we can do. But thank you for the opportunity to highlight the 2024 Annual Maplewood Public Safety Report. I'm just going to take a couple minutes to go over the report and kind of an overview of some of our achievements, our ongoing initiatives and priorities for keeping Maplewood a safe and thriving place to work, live, and to visit. And this report was released, I believe, yesterday onto the website, so you can find it on Maplewood Police website, and it will hit Facebook sooner than later. So it's also in your council packets. So before we get going, I just want to make some acknowledgements. Maplewood Public Safety would not be anything near what it is right now without the help of some of our partners and leaders within the community. We couldn't do this important work without the guidance, trust, and resources provided by the mayor, the city council, and the city manager. I also want to take time to thank the department heads and all the other department city staff for their support and their continued partnerships. Thank you to the Maplewood community. Without community trust, there is no public safety whatsoever. We work to build trust through transparency, respect, and accountability. Next, I would like to acknowledge our public safety staff. I can truly say that I am no longer surprised by what they do, but every day I am amazed and inspired by what they do. Our staff is the definite cornerstone of our success. And I want to extend appreciation to the families of our public safety personnel, as their support is vital to supporting public safety staff. And finally, there are too many to thank here, but the residents and the partners, such as the MAC, Multicultural Advisory Committee, that tirelessly work and come into the police department and help guide us on our policies and some of our missions, as well as the many businesses that we work side by side along. So as you can see on the left, that's a list of some of the things I'm going to highlight tonight. I'm not going to be able to hit everything in the report, and obviously if you want more detail, you have the reports in front of you, but these are some things I'll highlight. And as I mentioned in the report, in the director's report, highlight that each year brings many new challenges to policing and fire overall, whether operational, financial, or rooted in changing community expectations. Yet Maplewood public safety teams consistently go above and beyond to respond effectively. Our core mission is securing a safe, livable community, and it's carried out in everything we do, and it's a lens in which we see everything. A key focus in 2024 has been ensuring our first responders have the right tools, resources, and training to stay healthy and prepared. We partnered with a specialized medical team in 2024 to implement comprehensive cardiac screening, which was tailored to the unique risks faced by police, firefighters, and EMS professionals. I can tell you those results have been coming in since we've taken those tests, and I, without a doubt, know that we've saved lives within public safety, and it's making a huge difference so far in the wellness, in the diet, and a lot of the things that our staff are doing and how they see their cardiac health. By proactively addressing these health challenges, such as disrupted sleep cycles, high-intensity response demands, and cumulative occupational stress, Maplewood is investing heavily in the well-being of its staff, and I think that's showing tenfold. So staffing and professional development, the hiring and retention of staff is something that I've spent a lot more time than I thought I would in my first 3 years as chief, and I think it's the national shortage that is showing that. But despite that national shortage of public safety professionals, Maplewood continues to attract high-quality candidates for both police and fire. We have a selective hiring process which helps us maintain top-tier standards and ensures we are hiring people who are first and foremost good people, and these people will treat the people they come across in the street as if they treat their own family. We also continue to be the leaders in hiring in a diverse workforce that represents the community they serve. And as you can see, these are the 10, 20, 19 people that we've hired last year. It's a good representation of the community and a diversity of our hires. We're also investing in career development. Over the past 3 years, one of my main goals was to ensure the entire police command staff completed the FBI Trilogy Leadership Program. In 2024, we were able to achieve that goal, marking us one of the few agencies statewide, if not the first agency statewide, to achieve that level of comprehensive leadership training. We will be receiving an award at the FBI LEADA conference in New Orleans for this achievement in the coming months. Similarly, Chief Mondor recently earned his Executive Fire Officer certification, including a research project focused on building relationships with the Hmong community. This leadership development underscores our commitment to best practices and culturally aware service. Finally, both police and fire have seen great success with our community service officer and cadet programs. They're truly building the bench for what we're doing. These programs have allowed us to create a pathway into profession, especially generally amongst those who are underrepresented or non-traditional. I call this the toys page. So this is some of the new equipment and technology that we've gotten in 2024. One of the most visible upgrades you'll see is the Maplewood Department's new ladder truck. Just some details on it. It holds 500 gallons of water, 30 gallons of foam, has 7 additional ladders, and provides enhanced safety features such as rollover protection, sophisticated airbags, and wide windshield visibility. What does all this mean? It means safer and more efficient firefighting responses. On the left in the middle pictures, you'll see our Advanced Incident Command Vehicle, which was finally completed in 2024. That was a year and a half to build that. It can function as a mobile headquarters in large-scale events or emergencies. From live video feeds and Wi-Fi to advanced mapping software, it significantly boosts real-time decision-making capabilities, benefiting both planned community gatherings like parades and festivals and rapid response incidents. It was recently featured at the Wisconsin Chiefs of Police Conference, and the developers and creators of it call it the Swiss Army knife of vehicles because it basically does everything you need it to do. We've already received many calls from other departments within the state inquiring about it and out of state, and it will be featured at the Minnesota Chiefs of Police Conference in the next month. This vehicle brings our operational effectiveness to a new level never before seen in the city. And last on the right, you'll see some aerial photos, and also the top right is the drone. This is our unmanned aerial vehicle program, or our drone program, and this is the second year of operation in 2024. It did see some upgrades in 2024 to include a tethered drone that can stay up in the air for up to 6 months, and 2 interior drones in which officers wear 3D goggles and can fly it into certain buildings and scenes. These have already helped locate missing persons, mitigate barricade suspects, and reduce the need for dangerous pursuits. There's just a list of some of the few equipment that we've got. Again, the report has a little more detailed information, but these are probably the 3 biggest ones. I'll briefly touch on operational highlights. We've had a partnership with the Minnesota Department of Commerce for a 2-year full-time auto theft detective grant. This has shown significant results. Clearance rates typically for auto theft, theft from auto, nationally are about 10%. They're very hard crimes to solve. Typically, suspects will break into a vehicle and then they're gone, and you don't have a lot of evidence to follow up on. So 10% is a national average. Right now, Maplewood's at about 67%. So significantly higher regionally and nationally. And that's due to a lot of DNA collecting that other agencies just either don't bother to do or don't have the resource to do. This gives us that force multiplier, and we're able to do some of the things that other departments just don't do to solve some of these crimes. And this is just an example of how focused resources, data analysis, and strong community partnerships can both deter and solve crime. We also have a grant-funded BCA Violent Crimes Task Force member. This unit has been instrumental in the many high-profile Maplewood cases, and their headquarters is located here in Maplewood, which gives the city of Maplewood 40 BCA agents and 10 crime analysts within 2 miles from the PD. So that's also been a great benefit. We also have a grant-funded traffic safety officer to increase our DWI and traffic enforcement safety, and we also hired 1 crime analyst, which is beneficial. We have 28 police officers that are patrol officers in the street, and last year they responded to 35,709 calls for service, so it was one of our highest years. 2024 saw for the first time fire and EMS calls surpassing the 8,000 call mark with a total of 8,092 calls for service, which is an increase of 1.5% from the previous year. The council has set a goal of 90% response time within the first 8 minutes drive time for fire and EMS response. In 2024, we beat that by 4% with an actual response of 94% within the first 8 minutes. This is no doubt due to your support in staffing and equipment. Last but not least, I think one of the biggest foundations of what we've become and just kind of what our DNA has become is community outreach. Maplewood's proactive outreach programs are the backbone for our community policing model. Every public safety member is encouraged and in fact required to dedicate at least 20 hours annually to direct community service. We see officers with 20, 40, 60, 80 hours. They tend to go above and beyond that. I could talk about these different engagement activities. I could talk about the regional leader in this. I could talk about youth focus, but Joe Sheeran has put together and his staff have put together a video for us. So I think instead of me talking for another 5 minutes about community outreach, we'll watch a video and go from there.
More than 3,000 hours of service at 100 plus events, many of which we organized. Maplewood Public Safety prioritizes community outreach and engagement.
I feel so safe.
We work to serve a variety of communities in every corner of the city. Our outreach to young people includes fishing with friends.
What's your name?
Putt-putt with public safety, back-to-school visits, reading in classrooms, and having lunch with students. This year, we hosted the first annual safety camp.
Oh, geez!
and continued our Big Brothers Big Sisters partnership. Public safety collaborated with parks and natural resources and public works to participate in or host several large-scale events, such as Celebrate Summer,
These are Buck Orpington.
Ready for that?
Friday Night Fireworks, featuring a touch a truck area,
Thank you.
and Trunk or Treat.
I love your costume.
These draw several thousand people combined, with the city also hosting the Karen Martyrs Day celebration and soccer tournament. We increased our ongoing engagement with this growing population in Maplewood. Senior outreach is a major focus with these events. Other highlights have been the Battle of the Badges blood drive. We hosted several picnics at multifamily living complexes. We partnered with Thomson Reuters and a local church to give out more than 100 bikes and raised more than $1,400 for Special Olympics Minnesota.
Thank you. Have a wonderful morning.
Last year's National Night Out featured more than 54 block parties. During the holiday season, staff contributed gifts to more than 100 seniors and young people who might not have otherwise received a gift. Overall, we gave out more than 300 soccer balls, 900 pounds of candy, hundreds of miscellaneous public safety swag, and 67 pints of blood.
In all honesty, I think I ate 100 pounds of the 900 pounds of candy. Just once again, I just want to thank the public safety staff. We don't build roads, we don't create things, but what we do is we have people, and we are a people business, so we couldn't do anything of that without public safety staff. And so with that, Madam Mayor and Council, that is 2024 in a nutshell. Thank you.
Chief, what a wonderful report, and I really appreciate that video too. Great shots of our community and our public safety officers. So thank you. What a wonderful report. Council members, I think you will all agree with me that that was a wonderful report. Let's see.
Mayor, in the queue, you have Councilmember Lee and Councilmember Cave.
Okay, let's go Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to take a quick second to thank our Director of Public Safety, Chief Birdman. I don't think you get enough credit for the work that you do. I've had the opportunity to work with the chief since 2020, and you are an incredible person and an incredible asset to the city of Maplewood. Thank you for that. I say it often, but the quote that I say often to our city manager is culture eats strategy for lunch. And I will continue to say it because you have really set the bar high for what a high-functioning public safety department is, that is focused around community and people. And you set the bar high for me when I'm out there in the community talking to other people. I'm proud to see that we have such a wonderful council that is very supportive of public safety. Keep up the good work, and thank you, Chief. You are a true champion for Maplewood.
Thank you, Councilmember Lee.
Councilmember Cave.
And I just want to add on to that. I think, you and your staff have done this city, and you make our job up here so easy because you just don't represent, people think, public safety, we've taken on a new role here where it's the police and the fire. And these men and women have gone out in the community, and they're community people. And a lot of people look at them as so integral part of the community where they can reach them, they can go to them, and it's phenomenal how you've turned that. You and Chief Mondor have just made a extraordinary group out of public safety for Maplewood, and I'm so proud. Thank you.
I think the whole council can say that we are proud. I remember one of the lessons about that parents used to teach their kids in a crisis. If they're lost, if they're in an uncomfortable situation, that they should look for the helpers. And when you have a public safety department like ours who is doing as much work in the community, those are the helpers. And I can say that because we are doing so much in the community, that people look to you as the helpers. And so that is just a wonderful testament to our staff, to our leadership. Look for the helpers, and we've got a great group of helpers. So thank you for that report. Council members, we need to make a motion to accept the public safety report.
I move to approve and accept the
Second.
public safety report.
Moved by Juniman. Was that Councilmember Cave?
Yes.
Okay, seconded by Councilmember Cave. The motion to approve the 2024 Annual Public Safety Report. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Oh,
Aye.
let's go back to City Clerk Sint, and you get to call it.
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Councilmember Lee.
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Mayor Abrams.
I say aye as well. Thank you very much. Council members, we have 5 items on our consent agenda. Would someone like to make that motion?
I move consent agenda items G1 through 5.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Lee, the motion to approve consent agenda items G1 through 5. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, wait, this is so hard to do. City Clerk Sint, would you please do the roll call?
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Councilmember Lee.
Aye.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Mayor Abrams.
Aye as well. Thank you very much. We do have a public hearing tonight. The public hearing is concerning the 2025 Maplewood Street Improvement Project. And so the way we're going to do this, we'll have the staff report, and then council can ask any questions concerning the staff report. Then I will open up the public hearing, and City Clerk Sint will have to rely on you for indicating who may be present and would like to speak at the public hearing. And then when we're done with hearing from everyone, I'll close the public hearing. Staff will have an opportunity to respond to any questions that may have come up. And then we will have a discussion concerning the street improvement project. And there is one motion that is before us tonight. So, Mr. Love, I'm going to turn this over to you for our 2025 Maplewood Street Improvement Project 24-12.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I'm joined with John Jaroche, our Assistant City Engineer, as well as Tyler Strong, who's currently out in the audience. He is our staff engineer. John will be giving the presentation here this evening, and then following the closure of this item, both John and Tyler will be available in the lobby to answer any additional questions that residents might have. So with that, I'll turn it over to John.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Mayor, Council. If I could get the slide, there we go. So like you said, we're here for the public hearing for the 2025 Maplewood Street Improvements City Project 2412. The streets included in this project are shown on the right-hand side of the screen. This project was broken up into 2 project areas, similar to last year. The south leg area, shown on the left-hand side of the screen, includes those streets highlighted in bold. They're a little small, I know, generally lying south of Lower Afton Road. And then we have the Prosperity Hazelwood area of the project, which includes Prosperity Road from County Road B down to Lorpender Avenue, and Hazelwood Street from Frost Avenue down to Ripley Avenue. There's a number of reasons we chose these streets. The most obvious is the condition of the pavement. These streets total roughly 4.4 miles in length. They have an average pavement condition index rating of just 42 out of 100. So that's that scale from 0 to 100, with 100 being a brand new road, 0 being essentially nothing left. These streets average just 42 out of 100, so pretty rough shape. The Prosperity Hazelwood area is lacking in concrete curb and gutter to help support the edge of the pavement and control runoff. The south leg area does have concrete curb and gutter. Most of it's in pretty good shape, but there are some areas that have deteriorated over the years. There's also a number of degraded utilities throughout the project area, especially up in that Prosperity Hazelwood portion of the project. The water main underneath Hazelwood Street needs to be replaced. The water main on Prosperity Road is in need of corrosion protection. In regards to sanitary sewer, there's a handful of spot repairs we need to make to the sanitary sewer main system and upgrade the manhole lids, the castings, up to the current standard. There's also a lack of storm sewer on Prosperity Road and Hazelwood Street. So Prosperity Road currently relies on a ditch system to control the runoff. It's represented a number of drainage issues over the years. And then finally, there's a lack of pedestrian and bicycling facilities along Prosperity Road. So looking at the type of improvement we're proposing in each of those areas, that south leg area, we're proposing a pavement rehabilitation. So that would include basically replacing the failing street pavement down there. It's mainly focused on just that street pavement. The Prosperity Hazelwood area, that's a full street reconstruction. That includes fully replacing that roadway as well as intensive utility repairs. So those pavement rehabilitation streets in the south leg, what we're proposing to do is reclaim those streets. So that's grinding up the existing street pavement, mixing it with aggregate base below to create a new solid road base for the pavement. On top of that, installing 2 new layers of asphalt pavement, doing spot replacement of the concrete curb and gutter for those areas that have severely deteriorated over the years. We are proposing to replace a handful of storm sewer manholes that have degraded over the years. The sanitary sewer castings, those are those manhole lids out in the street. We're looking at replacing those with the current standard, and the idea behind that is it helps prevent the inflow of stormwater into that sanitary sewer system. In regards to water main in the South Leg area, we're just looking at adding that corrosion protection, so those sacrificial anode bags we've talked about in past projects to help extend the life of the water main, and then restoration of all the driveways and boulevards that are disturbed with the project. With the full reconstruction streets, so that's Prosperity Road and Hazelwood Street, we looked to our Living Streets policy to help guide that design. So we looked at that to guide us on how wide these streets should be, the width of the lanes, things like that, the need for pedestrian and bicycling facilities along the roadways, as well as water quality improvements to clean up the water before it goes into our lakes and wetlands. So on Prosperity Road and Hazelwood Street, we're looking at fully removing and replacing that road section. So removing the pavement, any aggregate base that might be under those roads, and then any poor subgrade soils beneath that, replacing that with a fully engineered base section. On top of that, installing 2 new layers of asphalt pavement. We are proposing new concrete curb and gutter along both Prosperity Road and Hazelwood Street to help support that edge of that pavement and control that street runoff within the street section. In addition to that, we are proposing an 8-foot wide trail on the west side of Prosperity Road, and that would be from County Road B all the way down to Larpenter Avenue. That trail would help connect the area to the trail system up on County B. We have the Gateway Trail, trail system on Frost Avenue. You have the neighborhood amenity, the Wakefield Park, and then the county is proposing a trail and sidewalk project down on Larpenter Avenue in the next few years as well. So kind of tie the region into all those features. In addition to that, one of the major upgrades we're looking at doing is installing a full trunk storm system on Prosperity Road to help eliminate that ditch system that's out there right now that's caused a number of drainage issues over the year. So installing a large storm sewer system along with water quality features, things like rainwater gardens and infiltration basins to clean that water up before it gets out to the lake. With the sanitary sewer system, there's just a handful of spot repairs that are needed to that main line. And in addition to that, we would look at replacing those manhole lids with the current standard as well. St. Paul Regional Water Service is looking to replace the water main on Hazelwood Street. And then in addition to that, doing the corrosion protection on the water main on Prosperity Road. And then the restoration of driveways and boulevards that are disturbed with the project. We've reached out to the residents in the project area in a number of ways. We sent out a project kickoff letter back in August of last year, an informational packet back in December as well to really introduce the project area residents and bring them up to speed on what we're proposing to do with the project. We held our first neighborhood meetings back in December of last year, and then we released an online mapping tool called Input ID around that same time as well. This is an online mapping tool where residents can go right on there and drop a pin on the map with comments on it on issues they might see out there. We've received a lot of good feedback through that tool. And then last week we held our second neighborhood meeting to provide design updates to the neighborhood based on the feedback we've heard to date, as well as answer any questions they might have leading up to tonight's hearing. A few of the larger items that we heard about through that resident communication. One was down in that Holler neighborhood. The area residents expressed that concrete curb and gutter was not needed down there, nor was it desired, mainly due to the rural characteristics of that neighborhood. It's kind of a unique neighborhood in Maplewood. So we took that information into account, went back, looked at the original design of that neighborhood, which did call for more of a rural type feel, accommodating the runoff in swales and wooded ravines. We looked at the zoning of that area as well. It's residential estate zoning, which calls for larger lots and more of that rural feel. So taking all that into consideration, we did remove the curb and gutter from the proposal down there. We're no longer proposing that for the Holler neighborhood. On Prosperity Road, some of the area residents expressed the need to maintain some on-street parking along there. They noted that there was quite a bit that's used from time to time. And they also noted that there is a long distance between the side streets where they would be able to park if we eliminated it on Prosperity Road. So we took that information into account. We sent out a survey to gather some further feedback. The vast majority of the people that filled out that survey did support maintaining some on-street parking on Prosperity Road. So we are proposing to include parking bays where possible along Prosperity Road. And then finally, some of the area residents noted the need for additional street lighting along the project streets. All the project streets in this project will be reviewed to ensure they meet our street lighting policy. In general, that calls for street lights at all intersections, major bends in the road, or dead ends, things like cul-de-sacs. So we'll make sure those lights are in those locations. Overall, this project is estimated to cost just shy of $9.6 million and be funded via the sources shown on the screen. Large contributions coming from the Street Revitalization Fund and General Obligation Improvement Bonds. Those combined are about 50% of the total project cost going towards the street improvements. Environmental Utility Fund, just over $1.8 million. That's for all those drainage improvements. Our partners over at St. Paul Regional Water Service are looking to contribute just over $770,000 for the water system upgrades. And then we do have the assessments to the benefiting properties of just over $1.3 million. So like we saw on that previous slide, the assessments are just one of the funding sources the city utilizes to finance these projects. Each year, the City Council sets a maximum rate for assessments based on the type of improvement. So for a full street reconstruction project, there's one maximum rate. For a pavement rehabilitation, there's another maximum rate. During the design of the project, we hired an independent appraisal firm to determine what that actual benefit is that the properties in the area receive from the project. And then per state statutes, we cannot assess for more than those properties benefit from the improvement. So the City Council sets that maximum rate to give the residents in the area idea of what their maximum cost would be for that project, and then we test that to make sure we're not over-assessing. If the project moves forward, we'd look at holding that assessment hearing in September of this year. Leading up to that assessment hearing, residents would be mailed their official statement of assessment. It would tell them how much their assessment would be, what options are available for paying that assessment, the ability to defer or delay when that assessment has to be paid, as well as the right to object to the assessment. If the project moves forward, we'd hold that another neighborhood meeting in the summer, specifically to discuss the assessments and answer any questions residents might have in regards to the assessments. So looking at the overall project schedule, Council received that feasibility study back in January of this year. After that, we held a second neighborhood meeting last week to bring residents back up to speed on the project, answer any questions they might have leading up to tonight's public hearing. If the project moves forward, we would send the plans out for bid and hold an award of contract in April of the year. We'd hold a third neighborhood meeting in May to answer any questions residents might have about the construction process. Construction would happen in the June to November timeframe, and again, that assessment hearing would happen in September of the year. So with that, staff is recommending that the City Council hold the public hearing tonight. After taking in that public input, staff is recommending approval of the resolution ordering the improvements for the 2025 Maplewood Street improvements, City Project 2412. And just one reminder that 4 affirmative votes are needed to approve this resolution tonight. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. DeRoche, for that report. Council members, do you have any questions for staff? Mr. Sable, are there any lights on?
Mayor, there's no one in the queue.
Okay, then since there are no questions for staff, then I am going to very formally open up the public hearing. Public hearing is now open concerning the 2025 Maplewood Street Improvement City Project 24-12. City Clerk Sint, is there anyone in the chambers who would like to comment?
Mayor, yes, we do have 2 individuals that have signed up, and just for your note, I do have the 3-minute clock available. The first person that has signed up is Patrick Kessner.
Okay, Mr. Kessner, welcome to the public hearing.
Hello,
Could you please
am
state
I
your
supposed
name?
to reiterate? Oh, sorry.
Yes, could you please state your name and tell us your address?
Patrick Kessner, 1946 Prosperity Road.
Thank you. You have 3
Basically-
minutes.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for your guys' time and considering this project. My wife, Amy over there, and I lived at this house for 20 years now, and we take pretty great pride in our house. We've talked about moving and decided, nope, we like our house because we have a just great yard, and it's just, we like the smaller house and everything about it. So we want to ask you guys that you do approve this project and move forward with it. We've kind of sat in our house watching other streets around us get remade, and we're all, the whole time, we're like, when's it gonna be our time? When's it gonna be our time? So we kind of, like I said, we really want this to go forward. What couple things that I think you didn't mention that were talked about during the resident review board is that the intersection of Frost and Prosperity, my house is almost kitty corner. It's like the second house down from that intersection, straight across from the Lutheran church. And like even today, I was home from work, 3 times I heard cars honking at other cars trying to cross that intersection. And I think putting stop signs or some sort of traffic control there would be a very wise idea because there's accidents happening there left and right all the time. We definitely agree that a sidewalk is definitely needed. Being that we park across from the church, and then there's a White House that holds meetings for people. People are constantly on both sides of the street parking on the street right there, so parking is definitely a good idea. The other concern that we have on Prosperity, I think other people would agree, is that speeding, especially when White Bear was remodeled, people used Prosperity as a shortcut to get around all the construction that was going on in White Bear last year. And they would just speed down Prosperity, like I would say 40, 50 miles an hour was easily, could have been registered by people. And jokingly at times, we would talk to different city officials, be like, let's put in some speed bumps. I get it, plows wouldn't like it, but something, it'd be nice if you guys could consider something to get people to slow down. There's lots of young families on the street, lots of kids that are walking over to Wakefield Park. The sidewalk would be good for that too, but then there's lots of bikers, just because the gateways and access to the gateway trails right there. And then my only question that I haven't really got a chance to ask is, and it's not a big deal, is just what's the logistics for the residents as once the street is ripped up, are we parking our cars somewhere off our property so that we can drive and move around and whatnot? And that, not a big deal, can be answered once plans are drawn up and whatnot, but I just wanted to throw that out there. So, thank you guys.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kessner. City Clerk Sint, who is the second resident?
Second is Ray Cash.
Mr. Cash, would you like to join us, please?
Yes, thank you for your time. Yeah, Ray Cash, 2033 Prosperity Road. Really what the last gentleman mentioned is a lot of the same concerns that I have, so I'll be pretty brief. But yeah, Frost Avenue and Prosperity Road, that intersection, especially once that trail is constructed, there's going to be lots of people using that trail. You know, my family, my children will be going down to Wakefield Park, so having a safe way to get across Frost Avenue. Also with the Gateway Trail, just a few houses to the south of that, just how that's going to be handled. As far as right now, there's not great sight lines, a lot of trees really close. So some way that is to be assured that will be a safe crossing. So whether that's signage, whether that's some sort of crosswalk, however that's done, I just would like to ensure that something's done there. And then the last thing I would mention also, kind of the same point I just made, but I live right near Harris Avenue, which is, again, a few houses south of Prosperity Road. Again, we have take walks, we have family that we go visit over there. Again, just some crosswalks or some sort of safe access across Prosperity Road. Like the last gentleman mentioned, speeding is probably my number one concern. So just making things safe and having a good way to get across the street safely. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. City Clerk Sint, is there anyone else there who would like to participate in the public hearing?
Mayor, we do have other people in, so you could call someone up.
Okay.
Sorry, I wasn't sure I needed to sign up. Or...
He's joining. 1 second.
All right.
My name is Matt Burrows. I'm a resident at 2141 Prosperity Road. My mother owns the house, and I have some concerns just because, you know, as this gentleman was talking about the water main on Prosperity has failed. I don't know if you're aware of this. You know, there's residents without water. And I wonder if the neglect of the road and our taxes not paying for that road to be upkept is responsible for that. And I have a lot of questions because I see in my immediate area in my neighborhood where money can be better spent. There's a lot of derelict property. There's homelessness people, you know, on the trail. I love the trails. I walk the trail. I've lost 100 pounds in the last year thanks to these trails. There's nobody else, in my opinion, who is going to advocate for these trails. But I'm worried because we're not taking care of the trails that we have. You know, you talk about Wakefield, you know, I've gone down there, walked down there this fall. You know, you see poor people, you know, God bless their souls, but they're out there with carts and, you know, I feel for them, but it's also something I don't want in my neighborhood. You know, I want those people to get help. And I don't want them to have to, you know, resort to crime in my neighborhood. I don't really know the specifics, but a person in our neighborhood, you know, they had their home broken into this last year during the middle of the day. And it's really concerning because my mom, she has stage 4 metastatic cancer. You know, she's dying of cancer, and it's like, I have so much stress and so much on my plate trying to take care of her that I'm worried about, you know, foot traffic in my neighborhood. I'm worried about all the litter that we have to take care of as residents on Prosperity. And it's, you know, I'm just really concerned about the price for one, and what it's going to do to our property values. Our taxes just went up $300 this year, and it's, you know, across the board in the United States, you know, there's a problem with government spending, and I'm not saying this is the case here, but it sounds, you know, like this gentleman here could use more money for the police. He's seen an increase in, you know, in calls and fire, and I just think maybe that money could be better spent elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt. Anyone else who would like to address the council?
Hello, my name is Tony Joyer. I live at 2155 Prosperity Avenue. I currently have a sidewalk on one side of my house near John Glenn. We see a lot of foot traffic. It's great and all. Love interacting with the kids. I try to get them to rake the yard once in a while. They're not too inclined. I do, living that close to the road with a sidewalk right there, we pick up a lot of trash. We deal with a lot of people loitering, hanging out in front of our house. That's the house I bought, right? I knew what I was signing up for when I bought it. One thing I didn't take into account was having to be told that I'm going to benefit from losing more of my property on one side of my yard. And I have to pay for it. That seems very backwards. In my experience, eminent domain typically involves paying the people that you're taking their land from to use it. In this case, you're asking us to pay upwards or potentially $6,600 to have less yard, less property value, more foot traffic, less security, less safety, more people. The kids are going to use the sidewalk sometimes, and they're still going to cut through the yard, and that's the way it is. But they're going to do that anyway. So I appreciate all your guys' effort to improve our city and to plan for its future, but it seems quite strange that we would pay to have our road fixed, which is like the most agreeable basic tenet of local governance, in my opinion, is to care for the roads. That's the one thing we can't do as a city block necessarily. I'm pro sidewalk. I have a little kid. I have one on the way, so I'm pro sidewalk. I love walking. I love all the businesses nearby, not having to get in the car. But it does quite bother me, the idea of having to pay to have way more inconvenience, less value, less privacy, less security, more litter, all of it. And I really hope if any of you lived where I do, that you would take a second look at that. Frankly, it should be the other way around. We should be compensated for the decrease in a lot size. That's huge in my home value. And if I lose that by 10 feet plus, it'd be quite upsetting. So John, leave it. I hope you hear this, Tyler, wherever you are. I appreciate it, and I hope we can make it work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate hearing from you. Is there anyone else who would like to contribute to the public hearing?
There is another lady who is coming to the podium.
Thank you
for your time. I know it's getting late. I'm Valerie Albert. I'm 2021 Prosperity. First, I would like to address the parking. I have 22 grandchildren and 9 great-grandchildren, but they come over during the summer just to play. We have a pool in the backyard. They come for yard maintenance. Many of the grandchildren and my kids come, and we need parking. I don't need a little babe. I just really need the parking on my street. And also, in between my house and the house next door is the main sewer was put in. And we need that. I know I gave up 10 feet for an assessment for it. But I hope it's going to be replaced again so that I can use my property to drive behind my house. I have a shed back there where we keep the tractors and the snowmobiles and everything. So I'm hoping that I have a drain on one side of my driveway and a drain on the other side. And they seem to be working well for me. But, and I will have I can say that I would have a rain garden there too, which helps a little bit. So those two things I'd like to have addressed. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Albert. City Clerk Sent, anyone else?
Mayor, as I look over the crowd, I do not see anyone approaching.
Okay, then this will be the last call. If there's anyone else who would like to present at the public hearing, this is your opportunity. Please step up to the podium. Is there anyone approaching now?
Yes.
My name is Rebecca Ketter, and I live at 1843 Prosperity. And I just wanted to give a voice to the, the southern side on Prosperity Avenue across from Wakefield Park. And also just repeat the importance of slowing down Prosperity in that particular section between Frost and Larpenter. There is just one small little road that doesn't get used that much, but that ends up being just a speedway, especially like I live right across from the visitor center area. So everything south of me, you can just like hear the traffic coming and going, and it's just like goes into that especially that wooded area, and it just it's bad all on Prosperity, but it really gets bad. And considering it is a public park, that has people coming and going, and especially if we're going to be increasing the amount of foot traffic and bike traffic and everything like that. I don't know, speed bumps, stop signs, something. I've called the city and had one of the monitors put out there to see if that helps at all, and it doesn't. So I spend a lot of time in my yard. I do a lot of gardening, and I kind of think that it would not be a surprise if we got a car that came up into our road or into our yard just because of the speed. So there's that. And then also, I guess the other thing is the intersection of Frost and Prosperity too. Just another vote for that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Last call. Ms. Sint, is there anyone else?
There is not.
Okay, then with that, then I am going to close the public hearing. Thank you all for coming and appearing before us. I think it makes sense to maybe group some of these questions together as far as they impact people in general. If it's something about someone's individual property, such as being able to drive behind to access a shed back there, I think that's better handled by individual staff talking with the resident. That just seems to make more sense because you've got more context. But just in terms of, talking about parking, Mr. Jarosh and Mr. Love, do you want to start? I know that you took some questions or wrote down some notes. Do you want to respond to some of the generic questions that more people seem to have?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. In regard to speeding, that is something that we heard a little bit about at the neighborhood meetings. So it's a balancing act, though. So we also heard we need on-street parking as well. So one of the tools we typically use to help to promote slower speeds is narrowing the roadway, narrowing up lanes, choking down the corridor to make it feel more constricted. So we're looking at a balancing act of we need some on-street parking, but we also need to help promote slower vehicle speeds. So that's why when we say we're going to include parking bays, we're going to put parking in to the extent possible, but we do want to promote slower vehicle speeds as well. So we are going to tighten up that road where we can. One of those locations is where the Gateway Trail crosses to help shorten that crossing distance where people have to cross the road to make that a little bit of safer crossing point. We're also going to work with the DNR on that, on clearing up some of the brush and stuff there to make it a little more visible for people to see when bicyclists and pedestrians are coming up to that. In regards to the intersection at Frost and Prosperity Road, that is also something that was brought up to us during the neighborhood meetings. So we did pull some crash data with the Public Safety Department, and we're also working with a consultant right now to analyze that intersection to see if there's anything we can do there. One of the thoughts is to look at a four-way stop there, but we're making sure we're doing our due diligence before we just throw up another stop sign. So we are looking at that intersection.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may interrupt, Councilmember Cave is in the queue.
Okay, Councilmember Cave.
Yes, I just have a question, John. With the fact that you're putting a sidewalk in, so you're eliminating all the parking on the west, wouldn't it be smart to leave it all open on the east for parking? Because people can't park on both sides now because of the sidewalk. So why wouldn't we just leave the west open for parking? And I get, you're talking about the speeds on Prosperity, but why do we have to just do some cutouts? Why don't we just leave it open for parking on the east side?
Mayor and council, so when we're talking about parking bays, we're not talking about just, one or two cars. We're looking at trying to leave as much of that parking on the east side, but what you're likely to see is these strategically placed bump outs that kind of creates a longer bay, but creates these narrower restrictions so that people do feel like they have to slow down as they're going through. So it's not, we're going to try to keep as much of that parking on the one side of the road.
Yeah, I mean, I would be in favor of I get the speed thing. I used to have a house on Prosperity. But the parking, when you eliminate it, like you've done the cutouts, it really cuts down on the cars you can have on there. And they're big family homes. So
Yep.
they're not like there's one and two. I would just be in favor of not doing so many of those cutouts there, especially when you're eliminating the one side completely of parking. So
Yes.
we only have one.
Yeah, so Mayor and Council, so I think what I'm trying to say is that the one side will have as much parking as possible, and just in some key short locations, a very short kind of bumping out and then bumping back in. And so you would have a very long, you would still end up with a very long stretch of parking on that one side of the road. But just these couple strategically placed bump outs to kind of provide that restriction. So maintaining most of the parking on there.
So maybe we can see those when you do put those out for us so we can.
Mayor and
see
Council,
those?
yep, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good question. That will be coming back to us and we can take a look at that. Can one of you, either Mr. Love or Mr. Jarosh, address the idea of the sidewalk in terms of what's included in the cost? This isn't just the cost of the sidewalk. This is a much bigger project than just a sidewalk. And so does one of you want to address that issue?
Yeah, Mayor, Council. So the cost that we showed you earlier, obviously, is including improvements for utility improvements, major utility improvements, the street improvements as well. The sidewalk, or the trail, I should say, is just one small portion of that. I don't have the number specifically on what's assigned to just that trail off the top of my head here, but that's just one small part of that overall $9.6 million cost.
Right. Thank you for that. I know some folks talked about when will they get information about where do they park and kind of what happens when their street is under construction. I know I have to say that our staff does a fabulous job of letting people know what's happening, when it's happening. And but can you maybe outline that for some people?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So these streets will be constructed under through traffic conditions. So we're going to keep everybody going in and out of their properties for the vast majority of the project. That being said, there's obviously times when you're not going to be able to directly access your driveway. When there's a storm sewer pipe being installed right in front of your property, obviously there's going to be a short period of time where you can't access it. We'll have you park up the street a little ways and get you back in there as soon as we can. Leading up to an event like that, though, we're going to put a flyer on your door a day or two ahead of time to give you a heads up for that. The longest time that anybody will be out of their driveway is when we put the concrete curb and gutter in front of their driveway. That concrete has a 7-day curing time where it needs to gain strength before it can be driven over. During that time, we'll just have you park right in front of your property. And you can still, walk up to your house if you're not able to do that. We make some special accommodations. We'll be able to pour driveways in halves, things like that, and get you in and out of there. But for the most part, you're going to have access to and from your property throughout construction.
Thank you. One of the other questions that seemed to pop up with several of our residents was questions about speed on Prosperity. And Chief Beardeman, can you weigh in on what our public safety department can do? I know that I've referred many calls and emails to you about reports of speeding, and then you use our problem-solving strategies in the department to address speeding. Chief, could you talk a little bit about that? And maybe this might be, it sounds to me like this is a problem that many have observed about speeding cars. And so maybe we could work on addressing some of that behavior, that driving behavior.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. I took some notes on some of those locations, but it sounds like it's the majority of Prosperity. We do have some technology we can definitely incorporate. We have, first of all, we'll start off with it's a little black box that's hidden, and it keeps traffic data of extended period of time of the speed of cars. Basically, if it's a truck, if it's a car, the size of it, what lane they're in. It's very detailed. Gives us back a nice printed out report. Sometimes perception of speeding is different than reality, so we like to get the actual data. But in the meantime, we certainly have signage we can put up advising people to slow down, and we also have a dedicated traffic officer that I mentioned earlier in the report that is dedicated to traffic enforcement, and their entire job is DUIs, speeding enforcement, texting while driving, things of that nature. So we can certainly do a problem-solving strategies log and incorporate part of her daily tasks is patrolling that street as well as other patrol officers in their meantime. So there's several things we can do, and I took some notes, and we can incorporate that as soon as tomorrow, some of that stuff.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that responsiveness. Mr. Jarosh and Mr. Love, were there any other questions that you took note of that we haven't addressed other than those unique ones relative to each individual's property?
Mayor and Council, I know that there was one item that was brought up with the idea that about eminent domain, taking a property for the sidewalk and trails. So I thought maybe have John kind of quickly just kind of talk about where that trail is going to sit in relation to the public right-of-way.
Thank you.
Sure. So that trail will all fall within the public right-of-way. What we're going to do with this project is we're adding the parking bay on the one side or parking lane. We're adding a trail on the other side. We're going to center that roadway section to minimize the impact of both sides of the roadway. So where the back of that trail will fall on the one side is going to be about 3 feet or so past the current edge of the roadway. And then the back edge of the curb on the other side will be about the same thing. So all of that work is going to fall within the public right-of-way.
So there should be no taking of property with this project.
Thank you for that. I know that there was at least one resident who also talked about observing homeless individuals loitering. Staff thoughts on those types of issues?
Madam Mayor, I think I'll cover that topic as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so we have an outreach unit within the fire department that I'll reach out to tomorrow and see if they've had any recent incidents. And I encourage anybody who lives in the street that sees anybody camping or homeless to give us a call, and we can certainly add that to our list. We have an ongoing live map that we keep track of. We provide resources for them and try to get them into places that are safe, warm, protected, and sometimes they just don't want to go, and so we technically usually cannot force them out depending on what kind of property they're on, but definitely try to give them the resources, get them to county, into some county resources. But fire department typically handles the homeless issues within the city, so they have a dedicated person to do that. So feel free to call, and other than that, I'll forward that on to fire tomorrow.
Thank you very much. I'll ask the chief and Mr. Jarosh and Mr. Love. From my notes, I think we've covered all of the generalized questions that applied in many cases. Does anyone have anything else that they'd like to add?
Mayor, there's no one in the queue.
Okay. Council members, do you have any further questions?
I just have one.
Okay, then council members, we have
Mayor,
a vote.
Councilmember Cave.
Oh, Councilmember Cave?
I just have one question. It's for the people that have the specific questions. Who do you want them to contact and let them know here, since we have staff here and stuff?
Sure. Generally, Mr. Jarosh or Mr. Love goes out right now as soon as we're finishing up and talks to the individual homeowners.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And to the folks in the audience, if you've ever a really specific question about your parcel, Tyler and John, I'd be happy to talk to you out in the lobby with anything, and they'll have maps and details, and so they'll stick around as long as you need them.
Thank you very much for that. I think we've covered it all. Council members, we do have a motion. Would someone like to make that motion, or is there further discussion?
I motion to approve the attached resolution ordering the improvement for the 2025 Maplewood Streets Improvement City Project 24-12.
Second.
And a choral response.
Move-
Let the mayor
move-
figure out who that was.
Mayor, I heard Councilmember Villavicencio on the second.
I did too, and actually I watched her, so. Councilmember Cave, moved by Cave, seconded by Villavicencio. The motion to approve the attached resolution ordering the improvement for the 2025 Maplewood Street Improvement Project, 24-12. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then City Clerk Sint, would you please do the roll call? Vote.
Aye.
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 City Clerk Sint, I think you have to have your microphone on.
I apologize. The light
That's
was
okay.
on, but you couldn't hear me. I will go over that again.
No, that's okay. I heard everyone. I could see them.
Oh, okay.
Which is the beauty of this technology, but yes.
Except
And you,
I would say aye as well.
thank you.
There you go. So that motion carries. Thank you very much. And staff, thank you for your detailed thoroughness on this. And residents, if you have any questions and you're in the council chambers, staff will be happy to connect with you. All right, moving on to unfinished business. We have the 2024 alcohol compliance failures. City Clerk Sint, this is your topic tonight.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So tonight we are continuing the imposition of civil penalties for the alcohol compliance failures from the 2024 compliance checks that were performed by the Maplewood Police Department. Just to remind you, we did have 2 establishments that failed. One was TGI Fridays, who closed in December of 2024, and the second was Crooked Pint. As the licensing authority, the City Council may impose the civil penalties to the businesses for the failures. Just giving you some baseline, past practice has been to look within 5 years and then assess $500 for the first failure, $1,000 for the second, and $2,000 for the state max for the third. And council also has the option of suspension or revocation, but at the last meeting, you indicated there was not interest in that path at that time, and so you cannot take that action tonight. If you did decide to do that, we would have to, there's notification and other things that have to take place before that could happen. So with that, staff is proposing that as TGI Fridays is closed, that we don't fine them, and that you would fine $500 to Crooked Pint as it is a first-time failure. As we know, we were here 2 weeks ago, and we notified the license holder the next morning about the continuation, and we had immediate response and much better communication and follow-up, and they are here tonight. And so staff would suggest that you allow the reps to address council, and after hearing them, recommend if you would like to approve our proposed fines, or if you have other ones that you would like to suggest.
Thank you, City Clerk Sint. Would the property owner or their representative, would you please approach the DS for us, please? Or excuse me, the microphone.
Hello, council members and Mayor Abrams. My name is Lynn Reed. I'm the general manager of the Crooked Pint in Maplewood. I wanted to start with apologizing for missing the last meeting. Obviously, that was an unintentional thing. We would have absolutely been here. There was a, mistake was made. So Crooked Pint has been in business for about 8 years. I've been the general manager there for 4 of those 8 years. We're very committed to being responsible alcohol service. My staff members are all trained in this from the start of their time with us. We have a zero tolerance policy that if they're caught serving to a minor, that they're immediately terminated, whether it is a sting or otherwise. Unfortunately, the person that I had to fire that day had been with us for a very long time. She made a mistake. It was very unfortunate, but like I said, we have zero tolerance. So, and once again, I apologize for missing the last meeting.
Thank you for leading with that. I think that was important. Council members, would anyone like to address the issue, or have any questions for the representative or the general manager?
Mayor, Councilmember Juniman in the queue.
Councilmember Juniman.
Thank you, Mayor. If this was a long-standing person, do you have any idea how this could happen?
You know, I can't say for sure what happened that day. We were very busy, but she made a mistake. She looked at the ID. It happened to be an out-of-state ID. I don't know if that had something to do with it, that she just hadn't seen it before, or, you know, she felt awful. It was, you know.
If I may, my name is Darla Weiss. I'm the Corporate Human Resource Manager for High Top Hospitality in Crooked Pine of Maplewood. And part of the responsible alcohol service that we do is in the very beginning when it comes, you know, starting with the application in the interview process that is addressed. This is a serious deal. We take it very seriously. It's something that can happen. Maybe 30 years ago it wasn't a big deal, but you know, we have better values now in society. So it starts day one training, and then Lynn and her management team, they have daily pre-shift meetings where they talk about various topics, and responsible alcohol service is a very consistent topic in those trainings. As far as how did it happen, statistically, actually the way it happened, an underage person presented their valid underage ID. I forget the specific statistic, but the majority of the time when anyone in the state of Minnesota has failed a compliance check, it is that they look at the card and they just blank out for some reason. You know, that's why Minnesota has the different looking license for underage, but unfortunately, it was just a lapse in judgment in that moment. And, you know, to Don's credit, the person who allowed this service was a long time, very prominent member of their team, but demonstrating our commitment to being compliant and being responsible to our citizens, she made the appropriate decision of parting ways with this employee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember
Juniman.
Do you do your own training, alcohol training then?
Yes.
Okay.
We are looking into doing, since this happened, we are looking into bringing in a company to do, I know there's tips training, or you had mentioned.
The BARS program.
BARS program.
There's
Okay.
different organizations
Right,
that do
Yeah.
compliance training inspections.
Okay. And the reason for not being here 2 weeks ago was a miscommunication, I take it?
That was 100% my fault.
Okay.
Normally in this situation, I
Right.
have a protocol I follow, and that slipped through the cracks. And
Okay. Thank you. Thank you
very,
both
very
for
sorry
coming.
for that.
Anyone else? Would anyone else like to ask any questions?
Mayor, no one in the queue.
Okay, then it's been recommended by staff that the fine for this first violation be $500. Council members, would anyone like to make that motion? Or does anyone want to have any discussion about whether or not we need to increase that?
I will motion to approve the compliance failure penalties as proposed by staff.
Second.
Moved by Cave, seconded by Lee, the motion to approve the compliance failure penalties as proposed by staff, which is $500 for this first violation. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait. It's getting to be a long day. City Clerk Sims?
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Councilmember Lee.
Aye.
And Mayor Abrams.
I say aye as well. We'll note that Councilmember Villavicencio is not in the chamber. Thank you. And
Mayor, if I can interrupt, Councilmember Cave has in the queue.
Oh, Councilmember Cave.
Yeah, I just have a comment for all the years we've been doing the compliance failures, and we just have one this year. I want to say that all the the education and stuff going out with public safety and you going in and, you know, the stuff that's been done is really showing that it works. So education really works in this, so. that's all.
Excellent point to make. Thank you. And council members, we have our last agenda item for new business.
Thank you.
The contract for demolition at 1279 Ripley Avenue. Ms. Parr, this is your topic.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. We're almost there. This item, we've talked about this item before. This has, over the years, had numerous code violations. We've tried to work with the previous property owner in regards to code enforcement, and over time, it has just dilapidated more and more, to the point where staff and our city attorney believe that the property, the structure, are hazardous, unsafe, and a public nuisance under our state law and our city code. In July of 2024, you may recall, you approved a resolution ordering the abatement of that building and found it to be a public nuisance as well. Since that time, we have went out and moved forward with that, knowing that the only way to remedy the situation was to have demolition and to raise the structure. It's structurally unsound. We went out for some quotes. We got two, and the lowest qualified quote was offered by Kevitt Companies in the amount of $32,900, and includes the mitigation of the asbestos as well as a part of that. That was in the contract that was included in your packet. With that, staff recommends a motion to approve the contract with Kevitt Companies for the demolition of 1279 Ripley Avenue East and authorize the city manager and the mayor to sign that contract. And with that, I'm happy, as well as I know our attorney, Mr. Beatty, is happy to answer any questions you might have as well.
Thank you, Ms. Parr. I know we've all been looking forward to this, and we've talked about this many, many times. Council members, do you have any questions for Ms. Parr or Mr. Beatty about the process or anything that we have done? Okay,
Mayor, no one in the queue.
Thank you. Would someone then like to make that
I
motion?
move to approve a contract with Kevitt Companies for the demolition of 1279 Ripley Avenue East and authorize the city manager and mayor to sign the contract.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Lee. The motion as written in our packet. Is there any further discussion? And City Clerk Sint, would you do the roll call for us?
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Councilmember Lee.
Aye.
Mayor Abrams.
Aye as well. Ms. Parr, can you give us, because I know that there are people listening in particular about this particular topic, what is the time frame for the demolition?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Great question. We have a number of these going on actively as we speak, which is very exciting. We have a situation similar to the others where the first part of the process really involves the asbestos abatement. So they will come in and under a very prescribed procedure, for safety reasons, they will abate. This one doesn't have quite as extensive as some of the other ones that we're working on currently. We would expect that that will start in the next week or two, based on the timing of the contractor that works specifically on that, who Kevitt hires as their third-party qualified contractor as a part of this. And then it really comes down to scheduling and timing, and most of these we expect to happen within the next month. The ones that we're working on, they're estimating timeframes that will be sooner than what we mentioned to the council previously, but we would rather over-deliver, and that's kind of where we're at. So I would, the next couple weeks, I think we'll see at least 2 residential houses come down, and Moose Lodge be a little bit longer, but not much. So we're excited.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
I know a lot of people are interested in that. Let's see. We have no other business tonight. Thank you for wrapping that up for us. And we will look forward to seeing that kind of activity out in the community. And with that, council members, we have gone through our agenda for tonight. And thank you for bearing with me. Doing this virtually isn't my preference, but I will be in council chambers with you next time. So good night, everyone, and we are adjourned.